Good afternoon, everyone. I think everyone is aptly full from lunch, so that's a good thing. But certainly we've got some exciting discussions for you this afternoon. I would say this is going to be sort of more of a fireside chat today, so we'd like to keep this as informal as possible and really ensure that we can get a lot of questions for our panel today. We have an incredible group of veterinarians that have joined us from far and near, some remotely as well. So I think we'll hear some really interesting stuff today. My name is Dr. Ian Sandler, and I'm the chair of the National Issues Committee for the CVMA. The NIC is made up of 10 volunteers in practice, government, industry, academia, who are tasked with identifying, assessing and addressing national veterinary issues and advocating on a large range of things that we deal with in veterinary medicine, including animal health, public health, ecosystem health, and of course, food safety. As a CVMA member, you can certainly get involved. We are working constantly on position statements and projects, and we can always use a great volunteer. So please contact us at the CVMA if anyone is interested. This is the 7th National Issues Forum that the CVMA has hosted. We have covered topics such as dog importation, alternative medicine, telemedicine, the use of cannabinoids in vet med, climate change in vet med, and last year we focused on natural disasters and the impacts on practices. This year, we'll be focusing on workforce shortage issues and paying attention to really veterinarians and what we are doing to win this battle. So certainly we'll be focusing on that this afternoon. This year we decided to link the summit and the forum together, given the high priority of the nature of the workforce challenges set ahead. Next year we will be in Calgary, and we look forward to the summit discussion on artificial intelligence. So again, we wanted to focus on veterinarians who are really rising to the challenge by being innovative, taking new approaches to hiring, training their staff, and examining their practice culture and making change where needed. We are very pleased to showcase 7 practices right across Canada and even the UK, and we think we'll learn a lot about that. We will be taking a short break at 3:30, but we are hoping to come back for a very interactive 1 hour of question and answers. If you have any questions, you can certainly come up to the 2 microphones similar to this morning. And also on the CVMA app, you can post your questions accordingly. I'm not going to introduce each of the panelists. They will introduce themselves as they come up. Our first speaker, David Schnell, I believe is remote. And with that, I will pass it on to our IT team. So please have a look at the 2 viewers for the next 3 speakers. Thank you.
I hope everyone can hear me. I am Dr. David Snell. I work at Central Veterinary Services in Oak Bluff, Manitoba. We are located just outside of Winnipeg. We're currently a 3-owner, 9 DVM mixed animal practice. We're quite busy out here. So just a little bit of history. My wife, Stephanie Van Dyne Snell, and I purchased the practice in 2012. We did some major renovations in 2015 and 2016. And we recently had an associate join us as owners in 2020. So our mission as a clinic is to improve the lives of the people around us, our clients, our patients, the team members, and our community. So when we first looked at this, or I first looked at the adapting to the current workforce shortage, we really had to look at, what our strengths were kind of in that avenue. I mean, there's hiring, there's changing the way that we use our techs, kind of adapting in different ways. And the biggest one that kind of struck a chord was that we have had a lot of success with retention. So the biggest thing that we've done as far as adapting these changes is we have really shifted our focus from being a little more client-oriented to being very employee-oriented. We've really looked at our operations and how they work around employee satisfaction, and not just, how can we do better for the client, but it's really how can we do better for our employees. networking, mentoring, training, and really just listening to our employees has been really our strength in that. So, like I say, as a practice, we do have what we consider a full complement of DVMs and support staff. This includes all of our techs and everything as well, even office, hospital assistants, VTAs, everything. And this has been in no small part due to recruitment, but like I say, the retention is really important. Should point out that Dr. Van Dyne's, one thing she did was she stepped up as a practicing vet to actually a full-time CEO of our practice about 6 years ago. And that change in focus, I think, made our practice one that people really be a part of now. Seeking learning and growth opportunities, not just related to the practice of vet medicine, but also to the care of our people. And they really are our people. That's how we see them. That's our practice culture, is that we are a group that's really working together to improve the lives of the people around us. So I should point, we've also done a lot of business training through a couple different avenues, and we do currently work with consultant to help improve operations in our practice. And I think that's one thing for everybody out there as far as owners are concerned, is don't be afraid to ask for outside help. I think sometimes that you can get great ideas from that and go from there. Since this is a pretty short talk, what I'm going to do is just give a few bullet points why we feel that retention is really important, why we feel it's been a success at our practice. And then I'm going to kind of be a tool that we've used mainly with our vets and techs, but also works with office staff and everybody in the clinic that can really help improve their experience and their satisfaction with the job. So a couple of the bullet points of why we feel that retention has really been a success in our practice. The biggest one is been, since we have taken over, we've had a really strong focus on psychological safety. So this comes from the top, the owners, and even for associate veterinarians as well. We are the leaders of the practice. We set the tone for the practice. And if we set that encouragement for positive idea sharing and communication, not allowing gossip, negative talk about clients or employees to come into the workplace, that really goes a long way in making people feel safe. They feel valued when we listen to them. And when we take their ideas and actually create action plans and stuff on that, when they're good ideas, people feel really recognized in that as well. And a lot of times it's, maybe the hospital assistant that sees something that's just not going right and they mention it to the vet. You can bring that idea forward and you make change on it, and that's really a valued part of the practice. The other thing that was really big is that we really stand up for our team. So we really set client boundaries. We have an executive team that really follows through with those clients that maybe aren't a right fit for our practice, and they take that off of the day-to-day so that the people on the floor doing all the hard work, they're not dealing with that all the time. We fire clients routinely, and we'll fire staff members that are part of the disruption as well, trying to really keep that team safe. So gossip does not contribute to psychological safety. We really listen to our team, flexible scheduling options, especially when people are having families, different lifestyles and that. We see a lot more that medicine is not just a 9 to 5 anymore. There's evenings, there's weekends, and really trying to fit with people's ideal schedule is really an important part of meeting their expectations. We talked about setting boundaries, even the small thing for us, like we took off our small animal emergency call because it was becoming too stressful. We moved that to an emergency clinic in the city. And then we really try and make changes kind of based on the best interest of all the parties involved. I see, if you look at the screen there, that's our clinic. What you don't see is that directly to the left of that is actually our house on the same property. So we are very intimately associated with the practice because we live right beside it there. The other thing is training. Having adequate, well-trained support staff really improves the quality of life within the practice. So having people that really know their job well to support our vets, to support our techs, really brings up their satisfaction at the clinic as well. So that's a very big deal. So the thing that I was going to talk about as far as a tool that we've used for retention, we've used it directly before, and a lot of it, once it's kind of been introduced to the staff, can be used very indirectly as well. I think if you're not just an owner, but as a vet or as a tech within a practice, you can do this yourself as well. And it's a really good tool to find out what parts of practice that you love, what parts of practice that you don't like quite as much, and you can really bring that to the forefront to try and really improve your situation at your practice. And what that's going to do is increase your job satisfaction, and hopefully improve retention and keep people around. So that's our biggest, the biggest issue is we are losing people, or people are moving between practices looking for changes. And if we can implement those changes internally and people aren't looking elsewhere, that would be fantastic. So if our tech person could swap to the next slide, that would be great. All right, so this is a little practice that we call job crafting. I don't know if anyone has done this before, but it's a pretty simple model that we can use. This is called the JDR model. So it's about job characteristics. Use all the characteristics of our jobs. We're talking about psychological, physical, organizational, and social aspects as either a demand or as a resource. So our demands require we put in physical or psychological effort or skills. They are our costs. Emotional strain, time, physical strain are examples of demands. If these demands become too much, they lead to costs like stress, burnout when they become extreme. Our resources help us accomplish our work goals. We can draw on those facilitators to counter the potentially negative effects of job demands. They can be made available by organizations, or they can be personal. So tools can either be provided through the organization, or they can be personal tools to help with growth as well. So the first would entail aspects like career prospects, training, continuing education, and autonomy. And the second is examples of optimism and self-efficacy. So the difference between a people person that really enjoys conversation and client interaction, or a meticulous surgeon that might prefer not to interact with the client as much. They both have a very unique skill, ones that are important in that medicine, but not quite the same. So this tool allows employees to customize their roles to better fit their skills, interests, and values. It increases engagement and satisfaction, and it increases performance, and it increases retention rates. So if people are doing what they love, they are more likely to explore options within the clinic's internal program than go looking for opportunities elsewhere. So as an associate or as an owner, you can do this with staff. I think it's a really good learning opportunity. A lot of times what you find is that, an area that one person maybe struggles in is an area that somebody else really excels in. So when you're doing this, if you look at the area that's low strain, high motivation, these are things that have a very low cost, but people really enjoy doing. So in this case, maybe somebody really likes just basic surgeries. They want to do spays and neuters, that might go in that column. Maybe they find dentistry to be really easy, but they don't really enjoy doing it. That might be a low strain, average motivation. Maybe they really want to get into orthopedic surgery, that's average strain, high motivation. But beyond that, you can look at kind of the psychological aspects of this too. You can have things like working in a team. Where does that fit with somebody? Calling back messages from clients, being on call. And you kind of put these things into the different areas, and then you look at it overall. And what you can do is start to actually tailor your day so that you are living more in the high motivation areas and less in the average or low motivation areas. So I think, like I say, we've done this officially. We did this once as a team, everywhere from office up to vets. And knowing what other people like is really important. I think the other thing too is sometimes you realize that everyone doesn't like something or everyone really likes something. And so if you're all in the same boat together, you can kind of say like, okay, nobody really likes working evenings that much. So as a practice, you decide, okay, maybe we shouldn't even be open on evenings. Or you say, okay, well, we have to be open one evening, but everyone's going to do their fair share and nobody feels kind of ostracized or put out by it as much because you know that everyone's just taking their turn to do it. So yeah, I would really encourage everybody to maybe take some time and do this, and for yourself personally, as a practice, I think it's a great resource. And then the biggest thing is once you know those areas that you really love, you want to grow in, is to try and really foster that. So you want to provide the learning opportunities or change the schedule or do whatever you can to really support people in those high motivation areas so that they are satisfied with their job. And when they're looking for ideas, or if they want to expand in an area, they're going to come and say, you know, hey, I want to do more of this because it really interests me, and you're going to support them. Okay. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions on that afterwards, be happy to talk about it. I think it's a great way to help in practice. And I guess the last thing that I was going to talk about very quickly, because I know we're short on time here, is clinic values. So clinic values, we shouldn't say clinic values, this also applies to personal values as well, that they've got to be a representation of what you or your practice really represent. You don't just make them words, you make them really actionable. You want to really embed the values in all of your systems. And that is how you really build a culture, right? Because it encourages the behavior. So if you value hard work in your practice, that's great. You know, do you have incentives in place to reward that work ethic or recognize it in some way? And the other thing is really knowing the personal values of your team members as well, because everyone's going to be a little bit different. Hopefully when you're, you know, introducing somebody to the team, that you do have a lot of shared values already. But at the same time, if you know that somebody has accomplished something that is really within their values, that you recognize that and kind of celebrate it. And by doing that, again, you're just really supporting the idea that we value your contribution to the practice. Again, as individual vets and associates, you're leaders in the team. So when you see your techs doing some really good stuff, you want to really acknowledge that, because we want to keep those people that do perform really well. We want to keep them around. And that's one way that we can do it. It's very simple, but I think really important. Oh, and if you want to switch to the last slide, you can just show one of our team meetings, which we have every Thursday. Stop everything, have a team meeting, and let all of the staff bring things forward, celebrate our wins, talk about our problems, and really try and do a good job with that. That's all that I've got for you guys today. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much, David. And to all the remote speakers, please stick around. We are looking forward to having your input for the Q&A session. Our next speaker is Dr. Trevor Hook. So again, for 7 minutes, the floor is yours, Trevor.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here and a pleasure. My name is Dr. Trevor Hook. I'm from a 8-vet, 3-owner practice in central Alberta called Central Veterinary Clinic. Some of our lab work gets sent to Dave occasionally, and sometimes I get paid by Dave's clients, which is kind of nice. But yeah, so we're a fairly busy mixed animal practice in the Central Alberta Highway 2 corridor. And in 2016, we renovated this, if you can see this building. It was an old John Deere facility. And, oops, sorry, we'll go back. Hang on, sorry, guys. There we go. Hopefully you can see that. So this is a facility. I took a picture of it one early morning on my way to a dairy farm. And so we're very mixed, which is, I think, a unique challenge, especially in the veterinary world these days, to find veterinarians and techs and staff that want to come to rural practices and particularly mixed practices. So we've certainly had our fair share of challenges over the last 5 years. And so hopefully some of the things we've seen over the last things can maybe I can learn from you guys or share our struggles and successes and go from there. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is how we've certainly changed a lot using our RVTs, which when I compare to 10 years ago is dramatic. And certainly I think this is probably a familiar thing for a lot of practices and veterinarians out there, but certainly the quality and skills of our technicians are so undervalued, and we put a lot of emphasis in making sure we take advantage of the strengths and interests of our RVTs, and make sure they have lots of growth potential and abilities to certainly foster their skills and where they're really their passions, I guess is the good way to say it. And so what we're doing is, hopefully you can see that there. So I guess I just want to kind of go through some of the things that our technicians are doing for us nowadays. So we do on our dairies, we'll do calf herd healths, and they are completely organized, run, and all the technical skills are done by our techs. So I don't even go on farm for those visits. Our techs go with an assistant or sometimes 2 techs, and they'll do everything from bleeding calves for total protein measurements, calf lung ultrasounds, clinical scoring, and we train them very well, give them guides and lots of reference materials so that they feel comfortable. And we certainly go through training programs, and then they bring that information back to the veterinarians. So then we can have a good overall clinical picture of how that that dairy's calf health program is going. That saves me hours and hours of work. And the technicians are very passionate about it. They're very good at it. And our dairy farmers perceive, or they're still paying for it, so they seem to value it a lot, which is awesome. Plus long-term health for those dairy animals is significantly improved, because you miss so much disease by not looking for it and being reactive instead of proactive. And I do not have time to go out to all these dairies and do all this work. So what a value for these producers and for our practice. Also, like 5 years ago, every porcupine quill dog, it's just a good example, I would do start to finish all of the work, maybe even a little longer ago. Now I listen to the dog, or the vet listens to the dog, and the rest is done by the RVT team. And, if there's complications, certainly there's a vet available, but they're doing all the technical pulling of the quills. Semen testing, we have some of our technicians that are, more passionate about large animal medicine. They'll be able to read all our slides. And certainly we have some technicians that have started training in bovine ultrasound. We're still finding it a challenge on how to implement that on farm. The producers still want the vet, but it's a work in progress. So I certainly look forward to hearing the input from other veterinarians out there on how they can see the future of that. But our producers still want the vet out there, which is good. But certainly it's nice to foster those skills, because you never know, I could break my arm tomorrow, and you might need somebody to do that work short term at least. And then we train our technicians to be very comfortable in anesthesia, and so the veterinarians don't have to do a lot of the calculations, the pre-medications, all that work is done by our technician team with their assistants. And so we'll do routinely cryptorchid surgeries on our front lawn, which a lot of vet clinics would refer. Our tech teams love that kind of work because it's like very challenging for them. And when they have success, they have, it's a huge endorphin release. They're very happy and proud of that kind of work. And so it's exciting because now practices in our area will refer these surgeries as advanced surgeries, as well as TPLOs, advanced orthopedics, where our technician team feels very challenged and rewarded because they feel that they're doing something special. It's not just a routine spay, it's not just a routine neuter. So it really keeps them engaged and learning and excited to show the new techs and the tech students that we get, and even the vet students, because a lot of vet students are pretty green in anesthesia and these more difficult procedures. So it builds so much confidence and positivity that it's really exciting. So we really try to focus on trying to do these technical hard surgeries because the green techs, you got to get them past that basic, but once they're advanced in 5, 7, we have even technicians that have been 12 years with our practice. That's what keeps challenging them, right? And keeps them engaged and wanting to come back to work. And so we're very proud of that. And hopefully we'll keep doing that going forward. And then of course we do, a lot of horse vaccines and small animal vaccines, and our technicians are doing, I could bring up the numbers, but a large number of our vaccine appointments, small vaccine appointments, certainly we choose those cases specifically. And if they find medical complications, then we either, if there's a vet available, then hopefully they can have a vet evaluation at the same time, or rebook at a later date. And so our technicians are very comfortable doing vaccine appointments, small animal vaccine appointments, and mine are like medical ear swabs and stuff like that, where if there's a vet in the building to assess. So that's been incredible to watch, and it's been very rewarding to see their engagement. And honestly, you always get 1 or 2 people that want to see the vet, and that's to be expected. But I would say we get maybe 1 complaint every 2 months. And so it's been very successful. And we didn't send these techs to any special training. We just do it all in-house. And then our senior techs help the junior techs, and because it's intimidating and difficult, and even for new vets, it's hard, but it's been super successful at our practice with the vet shortage. And so that's how we're using our techs and RVTs, and I think we're probably still underusing them. So I think there's still a lot of potential going forward. But yeah, hopefully we can share a lot more in the discussions going forward. And then the second thing I wanted to talk about is finding the right vets. And that's certainly been a big focus of our practice over the last 2 years, because we lost quite a few vets. And man, I can tell you how much stress and how hard that was. I can't emphasize that enough. It easily, I could say these last 2-3 years have been the hardest for me as a veterinarian, and I've been in mixed practice for 12 years. But I still love my career. I still love the job. I still think people should do this job because it is an awesome job. But it's really reevaluated our focus at Central Vet on finding the people, especially the veterinarians that want to fit into our practice. Because if we've had some that didn't want to be here, they were not happy. They didn't, and I'm not judging them as people or veterinarians, but they were not the right fit for our practice. and they became toxic. And, we're in a shortage of veterinarians, so you try to hold on to them and you try to like give them the tools that they need to succeed. But when we thought about it at the end of the road, once they'd gone, you realize they were probably part of the problem, a bigger part of the problem than you realize at the time. And because they weren't the right fit, they didn't belong in our practice. And I think it's very difficult for us as veterinarians and practice managers and colleagues to make these difficult decisions, but it's reflecting over the last 5 years, it's really important. And so, and it's not easy. Like I understand, you can't always, you don't always know this stuff before you get in, before they're started, right? And so you can do all the screening tests and screening evaluations that you can throw at them, but sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet down the road in 6 months or 8 months. But I think it's important to, if they're not a right fit, have that discussion with them and part ways, because it'll be better for them and it'll be better for you. And certainly that's been a big thing for our practice over the last year, and it's made a big difference. And so at Central Vet, we want people that are that like to challenge themselves, that like adventure. And I was just reading listening to a podcast on ice baths and people and the science behind it. And it just the one thing I took out of it is like the ice baths are good for short-term management of mental health, because you get an adrenaline release and endorphins, and it's because it's stressing your body and your mind, and it's exciting. And I think that's the same attitude that we have at Central Vet, is like if you challenge yourself, yeah, it's hard, it's difficult, but it's really good for your long-term success and happiness in the career. Because if you get stagnant, you get bored, and you start looking for other ways to stimulate your brain, because that's the way vets are built, right? We want to keep stimulating our minds and learn and challenge yourself. So we try to focus on finding those type of people. And then we also, to try to find the right people, we've done some personality behavior assessments, insights. One, it helps our staff reflect internally on what kind of person they are and how they interact with their colleagues, their partners, and hopefully give them a good sense of, are they a right fit for the practice and the culture and the team. So that's just been a focus for our practice. And then finally, just because we're a little short on time, is we've done some fairly major upgrades on our clinic facility over the last year, and prioritizing our staff and our staff wellness. So we put in a quiet room with couches and sleeping pods. This is still in the design phase, these pictures, so people can escape the noise, the chaos. Some of our staff will nap over lunch. Some of our staff will read books in there, or they'll just get out of the noise and the lights and just distance themselves from the chaos. We also put a games area where our staff can play board games, play cards, those kind of things. We put a new lunchroom in with a kitchen and fridge. We also put a sleeping area, like a bedroom with a shower, because we get a lot of vet students and locums and tech students, so we do a lot of training, and so it allows us to house those individuals right in clinic, and because housing is such a tough thing these days in Alberta.
Well, thank you, Trevor. Hopefully, now we've got it working. Hopefully you've got some room for me in there.
Yep.
Again, if you can stick around for Q&A, that'd be great. Next, we've got Megan Williams, and I believe she's remote. And then the rest of the presentations will be we'll be live here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Can you hear me? I hope everyone can hear me. So my name's Megan. I own a practice in Medicine Hat, Alberta. It has started as a mostly large animal, mixed animal practice, and is kind of transitioning into a largely equine reproduction, large animal, teensy bits of small practice now. Thank you for the invite to talk here. I feel a little bit nervous talking today. Honestly, I feel like a little bit of my talk is one part what I've done right and 10 parts all the things I screwed up along the path. And so it's a little bit different. I don't have the big practice. I am a solo vet. And I have adapted to really enjoying my solo vet life. So we'll jump in by saying, you know, I don't have the answers for you as to how to make that all work. I think it's really different for everybody. I really echo what everybody has said before, what Dave said, Trevor said, you know, finding the right fit is really important. For me, when I sat down at the end of the day, you know, you're on your own, you can't find anybody to help you. You have to sit and say, okay, so what do I want? And, you know, one of those answers for me was, I don't want to hate this. I don't want to sit here and be thinking I spent, you know, 10 years to get to this point and I hate being a vet. I want to go to work every day and say, I love doing what I'm doing. I love the job I'm doing. I'm working for the people I want to work. I have great support staff, and that's kind of where I've landed. So how have I hired to get to this point? That is a really challenging question. You know, hiring as a solo vet and solo rural vet has really always been challenging. I think it's just extra challenging right now. And I really echo what everyone has said is know who you are and find good people that you know that you can work with. And there's all kinds of tests and apps and, you know, if you're an extrovert, introvert, definitely, I think those things have huge value and everybody should do them. I think it's happening a lot in vet school. People are taking those tests. You know, whatever personality that doesn't take those tests and doesn't like feelings and doesn't like the hugs, that's me. So part of hiring, what I have discovered, and it's a terrible discovery, is, you know, how often it is my problem and how often the problem is me and the problem is in my choices. And I think as an adult, that's one of the crappy things that we come to terms with, is sometimes where we are is a reflection of who we are and the decisions we made to get there. So this is kind of a visual representation when I sat down and thought about the mistakes I've made and the challenges I've had. And one of them I wasn't realizing I was making. A very good friend who says it like it is and is super blunt, told me one day, she goes, you know, I can really see you as being this fire breathing dragon that just comes along, breathing fire, ripping people's heads off, picking your teeth with their bones. And I'm just like, oh my God, really? I don't feel that way. Like, that's what you think I am? And she goes, oh, you don't think you are? Well, your face thinks you are. And so, you know, sometimes we have to sit back and realize that, you know, who we are isn't always helpful. And so I've tried to become a much more friendlier dragon and have been since told that maybe I'm not a dragon, maybe I'm more like a llama, because I'm pretty protective of my people and my herds, but I probably couldn't be trusted not to spit on someone if I was annoyed. So understanding how my staff is going to fit in with me and fit in with my business model, this has been challenging. So I am solo. I am rural practice. I have the added benefit that I have a really special interest in equine reproduction. And equine reproduction is incredibly seasonal. So right now, I've been working 7 days a week since middle of March. That's going to continue until I take time off in August. Not a single staff member will work those days, but I do need somebody there with me, working hours that are not really determined by a number on the clock. They're kind of just determined when we get done based on what happens that day. And so that's a genuine challenge, because sometimes that's 14-hour day, and that is no fun. So for my practice, what I've found is there's a difference between, acreage horse kids and the farm ranch kids who have kind of been brought up in that seasonality, where they've had a branding season or they've had a harvest season. And so I love this slide. It literally makes my heart happy. These are my girls. This is my dream team. So what I have looked for hiring, and part of it is knowing yourself. The girls who work in the back with me are all these amazing people. And honestly, it is so easy in veterinary medicine to find hardworking, dedicated, caring people. I mean, I'm probably talking to a room full of them. It's easy to find that. The next part of the equation is finding the person that cares about what you're doing. And all of these girls do, and I really just love them. Part of how I chose that is they all have something else going on outside of their life. So their passion outside of work life kind of coincides with my work passion. And so they have horses, breed horses, ride horses, train horses, want to get into vet school. What we do at work helps them with what they do outside of work. And I think that's something we don't think about enough, is how do we help outside of work as well. So part of that, and the challenge of being seasonal. So these girls are essentially crazy work monkeys for 4 months of the year. And then I don't see them again, but I want them to come back the next year because I don't want to have to keep retraining every year. And we do get that, which I think is actually a small miracle of God. So a big part of that is I don't touch their scheduling. I sit down and say, okay, ladies, it's 7 days a week. I need a minimum of 2 people here. You are all excellent. I don't care which 2 people. They pick when they want to work. I had one girl last year that wanted Wednesdays and Sundays off. Sure, we can accommodate that. We have some that, okay, well, I don't want to work Fridays. I don't want to work Mondays. All right, genuinely, I don't care what happens that way. It's more about the end result of we just need somebody here during this time. You're all excellent. We'll pick who comes what days. The people who stay with me full-time through the year, we do it a little bit differently, where we offer banked hours because it is so busy for part of the year. And then I have an enforced slowdown on the other side of the year. So my secretary last year, she banked as many hours as she could, and she ended up taking August 1st to September long off, and then also got 10 days off over Christmas. So in total, she got over 6 weeks of holiday that year, and she really enjoyed being able to have those long, prolonged time off. And it worked for us because they understood that we still needed somebody during that busy season. So this is a line that I have used. It was a number of years ago now. I have these great clients that are amazing. And part of how that happened is having boundaries, and not like lined in the sand boundaries, like build yourself like steel boundaries. And I think for anybody who's on their own, your boundaries have to be so much stronger than anybody else's. So for me, the line of I have 2,000 clients and 2 secretaries, and I'll be completely fine with 1,999 and 2 secretaries, was a line that I actually used on a client that has always been very nice to me, very kind, but was really quite rude to my front end staff. And they just were exhausted by it. And I heard it one day as I was in the back. I came around the front and could hear what was happening. And this is a very good time to allow that dragon face to come out for anybody who has one. And I think we should all be comfortable with just looking somebody in the eye and saying, you know, I can send your medical records to a veterinary clinic of your choosing, but unfortunately you will not be able to get services here anymore. The day I did it with that line, I was super lucky because it was a prominent client, and I did it in front of another client who is a fairly big gossip. And, you know, funnily enough, you think that that's going to end poorly and it's going to, you know, oh, here it goes, everything's going to fall apart. I got so much baking and farm fresh eggs that week. Like, it was awesome. You know, people who are chronically unhappy and cranky like that are that way everywhere. And so people know that. And so when you don't let that happen anymore, nobody's surprised by that. And it did not affect business negatively in any way. I think one of the more drastic things that I did to navigate this change and I guess adapt to where we are at, and I would like to tell all solo practitioners this, it is okay to flat out shut your doors. Last year is the first year we did it. I was tired, burnt out, spent, not liking it, did not enjoy anything about where I was at. And, you know, I think that's normal when you work 12-hour days for 4 months in a row. You're going to be spent. I didn't want to sit here and pretend that I could keep going. And so I just shut the doors, sent my staff home, closed, locked it up, gave everybody 3 weeks notice so that they knew. We referred everybody to Calgary, and that definitely sucks for clients because that's a 3-hour drive. And yeah, it was scary to do that. And yeah, somebody still reported me to the ABVMA for not being on call when I was not working. But we had done everything right, and we had put on our voicemail where we were referring to everyone to, and it was worth it. And I came back refreshed and happy and still loving what I do. And the number of clients the week that I came back, and I am not a hugger and I'm not that person, but I got so many hugs from people saying, we are so glad you did this. You know what? If it comes to a choice where we get less of you or none of you, all of us are going to take less. So I don't know how much I can emphasize the importance of putting up the boundaries, looking after yourself, and making sure at the end of the day that what you're doing is what you love and working with the people that you like for people that you like. And yeah. That was a very quick talk because I'm super nervous. And I'm very glad I didn't swear during all of that.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. And good for you for doing that.
Thanks.
Next, we've got Dr. Jonathan Lecht, and I'll pass the microphone on to him.
Perfect. Well, Megan is way funnier than me, so let's see how this goes. I am proud and honored to be here this afternoon speaking with you. My name is Dr. Jonathan Light, and I am the CEO of Mosaic Veterinary Partners. I'm a 2009 WCVM graduate, practiced in veterinary medicine, and then taken on progressive operational leadership roles, which culminated in me joining Mosaic in 2020 at a time when there was 5 practices, and we've now grown it to 9 practices in Alberta and Saskatchewan with a mix of see if I can press this. If we can go back one slide, please, that would be great. So 9 practices in Alberta and Saskatchewan with a mix of species depending on the practice. Thank you very much. Let's try that one. On top of that, I did a de novo practice with my wife and our practice partner, a registered veterinary technologist in Calgary, which is urban, progressive wellness, and we have a lot of fun there with 5 DVMs and just under 2 years old. Mosaic, we have acquired, we partner with individuals that want to carry on their legacy and part with a group that can support, can retain, can attract, but build the next generation of veterinarians and hopefully sustain mixed animal practice in a country that needs it. It's a tough undertaking. I'm proud to share with you today some of the challenges, successes that we are having. In 2022, we did a full strategic review of what it meant to be Mosaic. We needed to look internally about what we were doing, what we were about, and what we wanted to parlay for our employees that were with us. We brought on a new role, and a director in brand and talent came from oil and gas, and along with a cohort of our support team and clinic members, we had humble conversations around what it was to have an employee value proposition. I didn't know what that was at the time. And many in veterinary medicine, as I've had discussions, didn't know what that was either. So I'll share it with you briefly as I've come to learn. Your employee value proposition, in simple terms, is the benefits, the growth opportunities, and all the other offerings that come together that your employees experience by being with you. It also helps you contextualize your mission, your vision, and your core values so that your employees understand who they are there in serving you and your clients and the teams that they're a part of. It also, from an EVP standpoint, allows you to be authentic in what you're putting out to the world, and you learn from that, and we were challenged by that, and darn do we make a lot of mistakes. When you are authentic in your EVP, it also allows you to filter out those individuals that may not be right for your mission, your value, and what your vision is. And that's a good thing in 2023 when we're in a veterinary professional shortage. Why? Because when we're all rowing the boat together, we get further together. And sometimes there does need to be changes on a bus or being able to have those honest conversations with groups or individuals where it might not align correctly. This is what an EVP does along with a mission, vision, and our core values. Early days, a long-term investment, but one we think is important. Next, Dr. Shane, in setting up for this presentation, said be provocative. This slide, I want to be provocative. Over the last 18 months, we have made a conscious investment to prepare and be approved for 9 LMIAs, it's Labor Market Impact Assessments, which need to be provided for to show that you cannot hire or recruit in a certain area. Again, we work in predominantly rural communities. We now have 4 contracts signed for individuals from non-accredited vet schools to be able to come into Canada and, over time, be able to practice veterinary medicine in Canada. The time between when they sign a contract and arrive into Canada is in between 8 to 14 months, and that's getting into Canada. We then need to consciously work to support them in our communities that we choose to have them in and make sure they have the basics and can fit in to have the necessities of life, whether that's licensing, groceries, housing, to ensure that their families are supported and we make this a successful turn for them to come into Canada. That investment for us on each individual LMIA is approximately $20,000. Also, in addition, those individuals that are coming into Canada have already undertaken an investment for the NEB, the initial application, the BCSE, and the NAVLE. So they put out an additional $2,800 because consciously we have chosen to only take those that have already succeeded in their NAVLE. That's our choice internally. On top of that, we try and add for financial assistance for them for the 3rd and 4th parts. The PSA, which right now is $1,050, and the CPE, which right now is $8,190. This is a big investment. I would ask and think that streamlining of our accreditation process is needed, and we need to remove some of the barriers that are firmly now in place to allow very competent professionals to enter into the workplace in Canada. On top of that, I was really excited to speak today because we need each individual in this room to go speak with their local MLAs, because at a federal level, we need to remove the requirement for veterinarians to have an LMIA approved to come into Canada if you're coming out from a foreign country. We don't need that in place, but we need everybody's help here to make that happen. My last slide for the day, practice, culture, and relationships. I grew up in the service industry, in restaurants, paying for school in my undergrad to get into veterinary industry, or to get into veterinary school, excuse me. I see veterinary medicine as no different. We are a profession, but we are a service industry. When we take care of our own, they will take care of us back. And this is a hard industry. Excuse me, I'm going to go to my notes here. This is a hard industry, and it's a business. In 2023, the rules have changed. Interest rates have gone up, and margins are getting squeezed. We have honest conversation with the Mosaic about what business looks like and some of the challenges we need to overcome to have success in the business, to be able to attract and bring forward new talent. Those conversations mean that we're a little more transparent, and in such, some don't want to move forward with us. And again, that's all right. That's a conversation to have. But those that are on board with our mission, vision, and core values and where we want to go as a business and as a group together, we see greater success. And we've really seen that in the last 2 years. We also have to have fun, and we can't fake that fun. This is a hard business, difficult cases, long hours, huge geographies, and sometimes insurmountable challenges. When you have fun and you go at it from a different angle, sometimes you can see a lot new paths open up. I had many pictures that I wanted to share, and I really appreciate with our panelists that have. This picture's from a week and a half ago at one of our practices in Fairview, Alberta, having fun within a practice that does really important work for a community. For us, practice culture is nourished locally, but it is led by leadership. We need individuals that can get onto a phone call, share face-to-face conversation, and I want our teams to learn about individuals on our team at a personal level. Because when we do that together, we have better chances of succeeding together. And I think all of these all wrap together with having success. Again, lots of challenges, but lots of opportunity. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks so much, Jonathan. Next up, we have Dr. Holly Norman, who has joined us from the UK.
Hi everyone, so I'm Holly. I've got 2 practices in the UK. I've got Vets Pets Peterborough, Vets Pets Breton. This is my most favourite review, 1 star, shambles. I love it, I just think it's brilliant. And you know what, I don't really care. That's the big thing to take away. I don't care if it's a 1-star review. We're vets, we're not hairdressers, we're not beauty salons. We turn up, we cost a lot of money. We're going to get 1-star reviews. So, let me introduce you to my team. And I love them. They are hard work at times, but the big thing we have is the Vets for Pets Practice Code. So I apologise to anyone who hasn't seen me do this talk before. Bear with. So we have 5 rules in our Vets for Pets Practice Code. Rule 1, do your job. That's it. Simple. Do your job. Rule 2, eat lunch. I don't mean I'm going to guarantee an hour's lunch break, but I guarantee you'll get some food, and that's really important. Rule number 3, go home on time. Again, I get that emergencies come in. You get a blocked cat at 6:30. See rule 1, do your job. But it's important that you go home on time. Rule number 4, charge properly. And I know that vets are expensive. You are expensive. Accept that. Stop trying to be cheap. Every time you do a discount or you undervalue yourself, you're actually really insulting your team. Charge properly, pay your team well. Make it really clear. All my team know how much stuff costs. They know how much we charge. They know what markup I put on it. And they're proud to stand there and say that because they know that they get a pay rise. And rule number 5, possibly the most important rule of all, don't be a dick. Okay? And all of my team know all 5 of these rules. They go through their appraisals. Don't be a dick. Don't be a dick to clients. Don't be a dick to each other. Don't be a dick to yourself. Easy, simple. And they know that's important to me. Oh, I've missed one. Oh, I haven't. Definitely. There we go. There's the man himself. I'm in the wrong order. Bear with. So it's all very well me talking about lunch breaks and going home on time, but I know for a fact that loads of you out there are really stressed, really burnt out, really understaffed. And you're going, it's all right for Holly. Yes, and I get that because I've been there and I've done it. And I want to introduce you to Goda. So Goda is a new grad vet. She was working at a practice, not mine. And they were understaffed, burnt out, stressed. So she got shoved on consults all day, every single day, booster queen. And she came to me and said, can you just teach me how to do surgery? I was like, yeah, totally can. So, and this is quite mind-blowing to a lot of practice owners, is I just blocked the diary out. I just blocked it out so that it actually happened. So that she got to do surgery twice a week for weeks on end. And you know what? In 3 months' time, she was an experienced vet. Yes, it knocks a little bit on my turnover, but what I have got now is a vet that believes in me, and she's resilient and she's tough. And the really, really beautiful part of this is, oh, I've lost all my slides. They've all gone wrong. Don't worry. Probably because it's profane. So the really nice thing about it is I've now got Goda teaching other vets. So I can now get another new grad in, and she knows that her job, when she's blocked out with them, is to teach them. And she knows how to do that because we've already fostered this really amazing culture where we look after people and we teach them. And my takeaway message, really, is if you create a really good practice with a really good culture, people will come. So I don't advertise anymore. I get people just ringing me up or messaging me, and they say, I really want to work with you. And we're out there and we do really good things. And, you know, if vet students want to come and spend time with us, I always say yes. If I get quite a lot of vets that perhaps are moving to America or they're moving to New Zealand and they can only work for a month, and I go, sure, why not? Come on down. Because the more people I have, the more relaxed my other vets are, because the pressure comes off them. And then they're happy, and then they tell their friends, and their friends want to come and work for me. So if you're out there and you've got adverts that are saying, you know, we're absolutely desperate, we've got no vets, I need a 5-year experienced vet, I just say stop, look around, look at your practice and your culture and what you're doing, get some vet students in, get some feet on the ground, but also talk to everyone in your vet world, talk to the vets that are out there, because they are out there, they're just new grads, they're just international, they just might only be around for a couple of months. And I'd get those in and grow them, and you'd be surprised at how amazing they are in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and they'll talk to everyone else and they'll get people in for you. Thank you very much. I'm quite short today. I will get rid of that.
Well done. If I can use your vernacular, that was brilliant. So next up we have Christian Haroff, so I will pass the podium on to Christian. We're going to run just a couple of minutes after the 3:30 break time, and that way we can finish all the talks, then we'll have a quick break, and then we'll be back for Q&A.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Christian Heyerhoff, and I'm very excited to present to you Rideau St. Lawrence's focuses to help attract and retain veterinarians. Rideau St. Lawrence Vet Services is a large animal vet clinic servicing Eastern Ontario, and we work with another large animal hospital named Navan Vet Services, and our sister clinic is in small animals, Prescott Animal Hospital, and we share similar philosophies and focuses. So some of our focuses are business sustainability and growth. We're team and people focused, and we're service based. And we enjoy work-life balance, and we tend to say that we work hard and play hard. We charge for our services appropriately, meaning we're at the fee guide. And we engage and trust in our people, and we empower them. And we leverage their skills, successes, failures, and connections. This is the team. We employ 13 veterinarians across the 2 large animal clinics. And at Rideau, we have 6 full-time equivalent veterinarians working on the road per day. We have a business manager that's shared between the clinics, a large animal clinic manager, 3 CSRs, and a large animal technician that's on the road and in the clinic. This is a practice area that we service. It's quite large. And yeah, those are our satellite clinics. So focus area number 1 is team culture. And this, we start with core values and a vision. And this is basically the foundation and the base for everything we do. And this was established as a team. And we have all the staff sign it, and we put it in our lunchroom. And this really establishes this team culture that we have. And you'll see things like respect, celebrating strengths of team members, compassion, high standards of care. We consider ourselves a work family. We engage, trust, and communicate with each other. And we have large animal rounds once a month where we get together and discuss mainly administrative, but how we can do better, our successes and failures. And we have bovine and equine rounds where it's more case-based on demand as needed. This is another part that's building our team culture, and this is a communication personality profile, and it puts you into a color, primary color and a secondary color. And this has been really important to understand how different team members communicate and better understand our employees. And this can also be used on clients too. If you have a really good understanding of the successes, the fuels and the drains, you can understand how those different clients communicate and how they want to be communicated to. This is an example. We use WhatsApp to communicate through the team, but also as our dispatch. But this is just some examples of team members stepping up when other team members are busy on call and can't get things done. Team members standing up in the first 2. And we also have pass on compliments from clients and just pass on that appreciation. But one thing I want to highlight is this sentence right here. Congratulations, everyone. It's nice to see the recognition of how our team goes above and beyond, not just for our clients, but for other team members as well. I'm always so appreciative of the help and genuine support we receive for tough situations. And at the same time, always continuing to learn and develop. That is said by one of our associates, and it reiterates our core values to a T, and it's amazing. Our focus area number 2 is the work. We love the work that we do. We leverage those skills and strengths, and we empower our employees to do their job. Eastman here on your left is an excellent veterinarian, excellent equine veterinarian and bovine veterinarian. And his skill is he's amazing at communicating with clients. The problem is that it makes him run behind because he spends more time than he needs to. But we don't want to discourage him from doing what he does well. So we've tried to build more time into his day to allow for that, and clients love him. On the right here, we have Jen, who's an amazing bovine veterinarian, and she took it upon herself to bring it to the team that she thought our Facebook and social media sucked, basically. And she was going to take over directing it, basically. And she does an amazing job at getting us organized, getting pictures, and most of these pictures are from our Facebook and Instagram posts. And she gets us motivated to write up about our days, basically, and our clients love this. And she felt comfortable enough and empowered to do so, and she does an amazing job at it. Focus area number 3, schedule and compensation. And you can kind of encompass that into work-life balance, I guess, but We strive for a 4-day work week after establishment of skills, production, and comfort. This has really been important for allowing veterinarians to explore their interests, extracurricular and veterinary. A lot of our members are part of organizations. It allows us to contribute to the community and be with our family. We also have a consistent, viewable on-call schedule. This establishes control. There's no chaos. There's some clinics where their on-call schedule is established the day before the month starts. I know my on-call schedule for the whole year. My family knows that I'm on call Thursday nights. Control. Compensation. We're production-based commissions, and our trucks are provided for, gas and maintenance provided for as well. 30 days for vacation and time off and personal days. This method of compensation works well for us because we've established values and rules based on team culture and the love of the work that we do. And we charge appropriately. So in summary, if you get all three of these right, in my opinion, in our opinion, you have excellent professional quality of life and employee fulfillment. Sorry, just forgot one thing. These focuses, combined with a solid business philosophy, allow us to create a practice with work-life balance, efficient workflow, diverse and shared responsibilities, a strongly built team that actively attracts and retains veterinarians. Thank you very much, and I'm excited to answer your questions today.
Thanks, Christian. And finally, we've got Dr. Stephanie Gravel and Dr. Judy Ann Lapointe.
All right. Hi, everyone. We are the French-Canadian of the group, so bear with us with our English. So this is Dr. Julianne Lapointe, and she graduated from the University of Montreal in 2008. She's a general practitioner in small animal and exotics.
And this is Dr. Stephanie Gravel. She graduated in 2006. She's a general practitioner as well, and she's doing physiotherapy and rehabilitation. And if you can start the video, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. We will present to you today our small animal clinic. It's Clinique Vétérinaire Fossambeau. It opened in February 8, 2018, so 5 years and a half ago. It's located in Sainte-Catherine-la-Jacques-Cartier, which is about 50 minutes west from this hotel.
Exactly. And we started as a much smaller team in size and in height, because we just had our two last boys when we started, the youngest one, and I was still on maternity leave, so I was going to work every day with my baby boy. So we'll see a couple of, we're a little late on the slides there, but we first had 2 exam rooms in our clinic, and you'll see it later, but it soon became too tight, and there was a pharmacy just adjacent to us in the main building, and it moved a couple blocks away, so we were able to buy the entire building and become the owner of the building. So we decided to expand the clinic and rent the rest of the facility, so that after 3 years of practice, we expand. Yeah.
And since that was during the pandemic times, we were doing the exam, vet, and tech solely. We were bringing the animal in the back so that we can limit the human contact. And we were doing that already in our previous job. We were 2 intensive care vets previously here in the referral center of Quebec City. And we were appreciating it so much that we wanted this concept to be the center of our construction plan. To do so, we thought of a completely new kind of exam room where the owners are allowed to watch through a fully glass wall. They see us work like the best chef are cooking in their open fancy kitchen, and let you see this. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yes, so we are now 3 full-time veterinarians, 10 technicians, and 1 animal caregiver cleaning staff. We have a Sphinx, a mascot, and there was the photo of our...
You can put the photo of the team.
Yeah, we have this is
Okay, so you're gonna see
That's the,
that fully glass
the window.
window that owners can see us work through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now regarding the current workforce shortage, here are the 3 things we wanted to share with you today. The first one is the way we work with our team, tightly bonded, and a vet with the tech. The first very important improvement we made and comes from the pandemic again. So in order to shorten the time the owner was discussing with the tech and that we had the owner to be in the clinic actually, we decided to develop forms that we send to the owner by email prior to the appointment of medical cases, surgeries, or vaccines. From the forms, the owner were able to know exactly what to expect, all the information of the preventative care they could get. And for us, we have all the information about the medical case that comes to us. So that leads towards a better assessment of what we're going to see, and therefore we are much more efficient. We find that the team felt more prepared and that this method really decreases the level of stress on, a really packed schedule, you don't know what to expect. That helps a lot for our team. Yeah,
that's it. So how we work every day is that the tech put the owner in the discussion room. She brings the pet to us on the other side of the window without the owner. The owner is not coming with us. We do the exam, test, shots, whatever's accepted already by the owner. And then the vet goes back to the client with the pet or without the pet if a big discussion ensues. Actually, it has been a very nice way to work. We love also that the clients are seeing the tech work. Their veterinarian today are talking about highlighting our tech work, and they see the tech work. They also can see induction of anesthesia, and people are always impressed. So it highlights their job, the tech job, and we spend more time with our team. We discuss with them, we laugh with them, and oftentimes the exam is more complete with our tech, more efficient and safer for everyone. Of course, it's an unconventional way to work. It was a risk that we took, but the clients are so pleased, and the level of trust is there more than ever because they see everything, and our staff loves it.
Yeah. Our second point is how communication, direction, and feedback is the key for us. So while being practice owners, we realize really important communicating with the clients and the pet owners, but above all with our staff. So having, very open-minded discussions with them while keeping clear boundaries, having guided tasks, also really helps to, have the highest quality of teamwork life. It set the teams and individuals' objectives that are clear and reachable. We really like to have everybody on the same page. So we have morning meetings almost every morning for important messages, we have to expect during the day, just to set the whole thing. Also, I send a written report every 2 weeks that discusses the little points we talked in the 2 weeks in the morning meetings. For new stuff, new protocols, things we need to improve. We put that on our Facebook Messenger group, and we want everybody to put their thumbs up so that we know they've read it, everybody. And we also do lunches with team. We try it every 2 months, depending on how it goes, to discuss issues, to have their opinions on things that we need to improve, to say to each other good things, and to hear if anyone have innovative thoughts. Also, we really believe that involving our staff in the meetings, keeping them up to date on how they're doing in the clinic, but also how the whole team is doing, really make our employees feel valuable and accountable for their work, and most of all, faithful to their team. That's really important.
Yeah, that's it. And the third point is clinic culture for us too. Keep up the good vibe is kind of the thing we say. We are two very joyful persons.
We need you.
You. We love to have fun and to laugh with our staff and with our pet owners. And we want to put our color to our clinic. This is our personality. It may not be suited for everyone, but for us it is essential to be ourselves and not to be shy to show it off. We are doing videos that we post on our social media of the clinic and also on our website. And yeah, this is the mascot also with us flying. So, and we love to show it off. And this is a way to recruit, but also to keep our staff because they see what we do and they want to participate in it. Every 2 weeks also, we give what we called a palme d'or. In French, I could translate by golden palm or something like that. Every 2 weeks, we send a written note to express our satisfaction and gratitude towards one employee. And sometimes it can even get teary, like the staff always says, hey, good job for your Palme d'Or, and they all support that thing we are doing for the last two years. We also do contests sometimes to stimulate friendly competition between our techs. Recently we did 4DX, now we're selling more probiotics. So every time they sell a probiotics, they put a little marker on the sheet, and the winner that sells the most probiotics for like a month is winning a $200 certificate at the place she wants
gift
to.
Card.
Yeah, it's a gift card to wherever she wants to go. So that's friendly and that's nice, and it's cool for our patients also. Also, what we also have a prime salary for the tech at the reception, and also since the beginning of the clinic, we are giving also a bonus at the end of the year. That bonus is calculated towards the profit of the clinic. So if the clinic does more profit, the bonus is bigger for the entire team, and the bonus is separated equally amongst every member of the team. Then I do the annual evaluation, and at the end of the talk, that tech receives a percentage. If, let's say, she has 80% at the end of her talk, she receives 80% of the max bonus she can get. So it helps them to want the clinic to thrive, so that the bonus is bigger, and if she does better, well, she's receiving more bonus. So it's something good for the clinic, and it's good for the staff too. And when I talk to them to make the annual meeting, yes, we can talk about their attitude, their skills, their performances, but we love to talk about what can we do for you to improve your daily life. Is it your schedule? Sometimes they're asking for a new chair at the reception. We're like, okay, the chair, the schedule, as they say, is really important. And I'm discussing a lot about the dreams of my techs, because it's important to know their goals and dreams. For the rest, well, we give them insurance, scrubs, continual education, rebates for their pet. Of course, you're all doing that. And newly, we have a collective retirement plan that we just started for our staff. So in conclusion, we want to reward good action, great attitude of our staff member, and we want to have fun along the way.
And we know that we all have to come to work every day to make money for a living, but our priority is making sure that every member of our team is doing so, being positioned to fulfill their potential, feeling appreciated, and able to shine as their best self coming to work every day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. I'm just going to ask our president, Dr. Trevor Lawson, just to come up. I think he just has a few words. I think we're going to take a short break. It's just about 5:02. Why don't we come back at about 4:10, and that'll give us 50 minutes for Q&A. All of our folks that are online still, again, please submit questions, and we'll make sure we'll get to them. And with that, I'm just going to pass the podium on to Trevor.
Thank you, Ian. So I won't keep you very long at all because I know we want to take a little break and then we'll keep on rolling. But first I wanted to, we all know that these sessions cannot happen without the corporate sponsorship that we rely on to put on convention. So today's sponsor, Grey Wolf Animal Health, and I'd like you all to just take a moment to give Grey Wolf a big thank you round of applause. And I'd like to just kind of also say, following the wrap-up of the forum, the opening ceremony is at 5 p.m., so we'll all kind of gather there as this wraps up. So I look forward to seeing you all there, and enjoy the break. Thank you.
So I think as people start to come in, I think I'll pose the first question, and we can maybe rotate. We can go, because I really would like to hear from everyone, but maybe let's start with our online folks. We'll start with David, Trevor, and then Megan. Just briefly, if you can talk about one thing that separates you folks in the sense of employee retention, and that doesn't necessarily have to be DVM. I mean employee retention as a whole. Is there one or two things that you can think of that if you polled your staff, they'd say, I am staying at this clinic because of this reason, and I love it here? So let's start with David, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I've actually heard it from a lot of the panelists, and it does have to do with that psychological safety, and it's just that being really kind and listening to your employees. Our last speakers there mentioned it even in their reviews, like, what can we do for you? I think that's a really important question to ask, and to find out from your employees what they want out of life, and to see what you can do to actually support that, whether it's further training, change in schedule, time off during certain times of the year, whatever it may be, but just really listening to what they need in their life and trying to do your best to accommodate that. I hope that's what they would say is what they really get from our practice, because that's what we're really trying to do for them.
No, that's great. Trevor, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, for sure. We've actually asked our staff because you kind of want to know. And I guess the biggest thing that comes out of it is they feel valued and that they're making a difference.
And
whether
Megan?
that's with the clients or our practice, both probably are valid. Yeah.
Thank you. And Megan?
So it's a good question. I think a large part of why the girls come back every summer, we have a lot of fun. It's crazy busy, but we have a pile of fun. And, everybody who works there, my business helps them. So I think they come back because it helps their business as well. And it's mutually beneficial for everybody, and it's a pile of fun. So, we're all a bunch of like pervy weirdos, right? Because we all work in repro. So we have to stick together.
Thank you. And maybe we'll start with Christian because he has the microphone.
Hello.
Oh, we just need to turn the microphone on. Yeah, one thing vets always need is IT support.
Hello. Is that working?
Is the mic on?
Okay, great. I kind of tried to summarize it in my talk, but I think it's just, the word valued. Our staff and veterinarians have a say, and they have, in meetings, they're empowered to lead. And everyone has a say, and they feel valued, and if they feel like they're heard, not always do we go one direction or the other, but they have the opportunity to control themselves. So.
I'm so sorry, I didn't hear the question. What was the question?
So the question is, what is the one reason, or maybe a few reasons, that you think your staff would say they value the most in terms of retention? What is the one thing that they would say in terms of, I am staying at this practice because of this?
So I would say, do what you say you're going to do and be authentic. So if you say that you're going to help them grow and you're going to support them and they're going to get better at doing ultrasounds or doing x-rays, or they're going to be the best surgeon in your practice, make sure it happens. Divert those surgeries to them, put in the training and go, you know what, who we should get, we'll get Greta to do that because we're diverting her down that path. And be authentic in yourself. You know your own strengths and weaknesses. You know what you're good at. If you're consistent, then they will believe in you and trust you. The thing that staff hate is things like when a complaint comes in and you go, oh, it's all right, I'll knock £200 off because you said it's too expensive. That makes your staff feel really, really rubbish. Just, you know who you are, stand up for it, and be really clear, and then they'll believe in you because they know what you would say or do in that situation.
Couple of pieces that come to mind for us as we work in different regions is growth opportunities. Traditionally, mixed animal practices, fiercely independent, 1, 2, 3 doctor practices where we have teams now that are looking to us the opportunities to continue to grow. And I think it was alluded to earlier, if you're not growing, you're stagnant. If you're stagnant, you're bored. And if you're bored, that equals to issues, concerns, toxicity, and the follow through. So I think something that our teams are really on board with is that opportunity to grow within their careers.
Thank you. And finally to Judy and Stephanie, so the question is, from a retention perspective, what is the one thing that your staff would say that I stay at the practice because of this?
I think one important thing is that they know that we are so grateful to have them in our team. There's not one single day that we don't say thank you. Yeah, merci, bye-bye, bonne soirée, so that they know we thank them for the day they work for us every day, every single member. So, and they appreciate that too. So they know they're valuable for us.
Thank you. And my next question is, if you look at the growth stage of your individual practices, because you all have different practices in different areas focusing on different types of species and specialization, what would you say would be your biggest challenge today, and how are you overcoming that challenge on a daily basis as you move forward into the next stage of your growth? And again, we can start with David and just go down the list.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I cut out for a second there.
No, I was saying all of you have very diverse and incredible practices and in different areas of the country, if not the world, with different areas of specialization. But all of you at your different stages that you are at right now in terms of your growth and evolution probably have a big challenge that keeps you up at night. And my question to you is, what is that challenge and what are you doing to address it or overcome it to move ahead?
Yeah, I think it actually was alluded to by the ladies there. They said they thank their staff every single day, which is great. Our clinic has grown a little bit past where we see everybody every day. And to maintain that kind of that personal feel with everybody is probably the biggest challenge right now, is to not get the disconnect between the owners, the executive, and the staff that work for us, is to just keep that kind of personal feel, because that's what really, I guess, brought us to where we are right now. And we don't want to lose that kind of personal touch with the staff. So that's where our growth in the owner side of it is got to be, is just to maintain that real personal feel with everyone, so that they know they are being heard by us, that we're acting on what they're saying. And yeah, I'd say that's our biggest challenge right now.
Yeah, we certainly are our people, that's for sure. Thank you, David. And Trevor, I'll pass it to you next.
Sure. It seems like the challenge is there's always a new problem that comes up. You think reception's great, and then you get a good team of receptionists, and 2 weeks later one quits, and then it's all up in arms. But that's just part of running a business. I think our biggest challenge right now is making sure, especially with our new vets, that we can dedicate, and we make it a priority for sure, but make sure you dedicate enough resources to their training, especially in the busy seasons, right? But you just got to make it a priority, and then it'll happen.
Thank you. And Megan, for you?
Technology. So you wouldn't think that, growth would be something you'd consider when you're a solo vet. But it's a huge thing I look at. And so when it's just you and you're wanting to do just what you want to do, it's helpful for me to look at my margins and those sort of things on the business side, but really looking at my people. And so my people have made my growth be exponential every year. It feels unsustainable at times. But yeah, when it comes to growth, it's really been, my people helping to multitask and having us enjoy it, and maintaining it is the more important part. I think for that is making sure we're all able to maintain that.
Thank you. And I guess we can start with Judy and Stephanie and then just go down the table.
All right. So for us, I think it was, like Megan said, having boundaries, having limit. This is kind of the issue we had. For the first time last summer, we decided to close our doors for 2 weeks. So the entire staff have their vacation at the same time. Techs, vets, everyone, we're all off during 2 weeks at the same time. Because whenever like half of the team was gone and then, okay, others are gone, we were having the caseload of 2 other vets to a solo vet, and it was quite tiring. So we decided to do that, and we were so worried to close our doors. We were worried, like the schedule, the clients, the prescription, the emergency, everything, but we did it, and we're gonna do it again this summer for sure. So, but that's an example, but setting a limit and boundaries, it's something pretty hard. Yeah.
One of the biggest struggles we're having right now with growth is in the dairy sector. They're having attrition, and we are as well. And it's hard to keep our bovine veterinarians busy, especially when quota, like if we're in Eastern Ontario and if someone sells quota in Eastern Ontario, that generally shifts to Southwest Ontario. And so the services that rely on those dairy farms in Eastern Ontario start to get less and less. And even though the cow numbers might stay the same, the veterinarians needed to cover those cows are less, and it's consolidation. So it's important to be diverse in the species that we treat. So we're doing horses, chickens, pigs, and everything. But trying to maintain our bovine veterinarians and trying to make them happy is difficult when your industry that you're relying on is shrinking.
So in the UK, the big worry that we've got is we're going to have these new telemedicine guidelines coming in at the end of this year, and we're not really sure. We know that somebody is probably going to exploit that and try and make a lot of money out of that opportunity, which means that a lot of owners won't go to their vets. They'll just get an online consultation. And we're not sure how that's going to happen, how that's going to work for actual in practices. The other worry we've got is with things like AI and cost of living crisis is pet owners are really struggling to get to us, and we cost a lot of money, we know that, and we're seeing more and more pets being relinquished. All of our rescue centres have now got huge waiting lists, and those are just the ones that we're seeing, and that's just what's concerning us a little bit, is if we try and grow too fast at this point, we might find that there's not enough pets. Definitely it's plateauing after COVID.
We could spend the whole day on this one. Looking at it and some of the challenges that we have in our region specifically is one is attrition of veterinarians and how that's leading to a gap for our next generation. So we have a pretty robust pipeline of new graduates that want to join us. We have 1 and 2 year out veterinarians that are with our practices and are struggling because we do have an attrition of older veterinarians that want to retire, that want to move on from practice, and there's a gap there, and there's a gap that's leading to sometimes a lack of that mentorship, specifically procedural sometimes, for that next generation of veterinarians knowing how to do certain procedures in different species. And then second to that, what I've seen is a movement from those employees that have maybe been out a year or two and moving into the locum field very quickly. And that locum field is difficult for those that are a year or two out because they don't quite have that skill set yet for the experience that they're now being asked to do as a locum in practice. So in our region, many veterinarians have gone to that end, which then is another gap that we have to fill with maybe veterinarians that still need help themselves on those basics procedures. So how are we working to fill that, and what's some of the solutions? Well, one of them is making sure that you are always looking out there for who's available for veterinarians. I think somebody spoke to it earlier. There's many, many days that you're having multiple conversations with veterinarians that may be looking for a change, looking for growth opportunity. And as one of my mentors said, you always have to be growing your bench, because at some point you're going to need those individuals. And right now I could hire 8 or 10 veterinarians on the spot. The second piece to that, and again, I don't know if we've spoken about it enough, is technology. The use of technology in veterinary medicine has to continue to proceed forward. And if we don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And I would rather us internally in this room figuring it out. And that is going to change some of the dynamics that we have in our practices. So again, whole conversation itself. And third is just basis of geography. Some of my practices are out there 250, 300 kilometer radiuses, and expectations for a veterinarian to go out for one C-section right now is no longer economically or feasible for that individual from a wellness basis. So solution on that is we have to have those difficult conversations on how the paradigm of veterinary medicine needs to change, because we can no longer go out for that C-section. And we're making some of those tough choices, and it's really interesting on the call with about, I think, 10 producers last week alone, and the discussion that we're not going to be able to service in the same capacities as we have in the past, but we're still going to do the best job we can, and we're going to do it in a concentrated level out of a different facility. And with that conversation, I expected some frustration, some swearing, and it didn't happen for any of them because everybody's aware of what's happening now. We're past the point of, oh, wow, the world's coming to an end. Now it's going, how do we work on the solution together, because we still need help.
The next question for you all is that as veterinarians, we think we know most things, but in my experience in practice, especially with large numbers of staff, oftentimes we do have to pull from different industries and different areas for, I would say, consultation or certainly assistance and help. Are there specific areas where you've used an external consultant, and it doesn't have to be veterinary specifically, but where that consultant has really added to what you provide to your staff in a way that maybe isn't traditionally seen in clinics? And again, let's start with David, and we can go down the list.
Yeah, so we started with, we used VPS, Vet Practice Solutions, starting in about 2015. That's when we were starting to see some growth, and at the same time, we did not have a handle on our business at all. And I mean, we're vets, we're not trained to run a business. You kind of learn as you go. And so they were kind of our introduction to that. And we kind of moved past that a little bit. And we now have kind of a private consultant that used to work in pharmacy, managing Shoppers Drug Marts. And it's brought a different perspective to it. Certainly a lot of focus has been on communication and team and everything like that. And it's been really helpful, just different industry, different ideas, even regulations in pharmacy compared to veterinary medicine, and just kind of how those compare. Anyways, the long and short is yes, we've used external consultants, and I think it's a really good idea.
Thank you. And Trevor?
Yeah, we have as well. We get quarterly assessments with a external accountant that does consulting for also pharmacies as well. So yeah, it's again a different perspective, but similar industries a little bit. So that's really helpful in looking at your bottom line and how much you're paying your vets and your techs, and are they bringing enough back in on that side. We've also had an external HR consultant that's helped our office manager improve her knowledge and skills on the HR side, because she primarily deals with that kind of stuff, and she felt she was frustrated and a little bit lost, and we certainly weren't the ones to give her the best guidance, and so that was invaluable. And as well as we've done some external behavior, personality assessments with all our staff, and especially young. Well, it's good for everybody, but especially like when I was 20, I had no knowledge about that kind of information at all. So you saw a huge response, especially from the younger members of our team, just because of they haven't been exposed to it before. So yeah.
Thank you. And Megan.
So on the business side, definitely, I'm really blessed where my best friend is also a chartered accountant. She's one of the partners at M&P. And so on the business side, we pull apart the business every year. And, there's been some years where that was a little hard, but it did kind of highlight when you are wanting to be on your own, how efficient you need to be. And I found it very helpful to look at how, yes, changing your price structure can change your bottom line, but changing your efficiencies can do it so much better. And that is so much with your staff, and how important they are to you. And I giggle about the part about HR consultant because I'm like, oh man, I'd be in so much trouble. I would be in just a mess of trouble. But I guess my HR consultant would be my very blunt friends that no more than often will tell me to get my shit together. On that side, we don't have that. And, the girls I work with, we're all quite similar that way. So I'm blessed.
Thank you. All right, Judy and Stephanie. Oh, really? Okay.
All right. For us is, again, our accountant. We switched from, it's been 2 years that we decided to change the accounting firm that we're working with. And this particular one was working with dentists, which is quite a little bit the same, that, they're professionals and the dentists need to be on the floor to have money coming in. So it's probably the same compared to us. So he helped us a lot to compare and decide, the prices and stuff, and how we were, paying our staff too. It helped us a lot about that, and it helps to the benchmark, because in Quebec we don't really have that, like to compare us with ourselves to know if we're doing good in a certain, like in surgeries or in consultation, or the we call it la boutique, but it's selling products or food or whatever. So it helps us to compare month per month if we're doing great or not. So, yeah.
We've hired consultants before. We've, in the past, relied heavily on Sanani, who's, I think, speaking on Sunday, and she focuses on leadership and team. And at the same time, I was at a talk last week at the OVMA meeting, Great Ideas Conference, and Angie Aurora, who is a social worker, suggested that many vet clinics should have a social worker on speed dial for traumatic events and stressors. And the third thing is not that it's a consultant, but hiring our business manager was one of the best decisions that was ever made, and she's amazing and takes a lot of that pressures off the veterinarians, so the veterinarians can do their job. The owner veterinarian, sorry.
Thank you. So probably a bit different. The only sort of external people that we tend to hire is someone called the Veterinary Defence Society, and they run courses on conflict management and dealing with complaints and dealing with difficult clients. And so we close the practice, both practices, for a day each every year. And they come in and help all of our team deal with clients who are being awkward or wanting to complain or kicking off in reception. They do lots of role play, and the team generally find it quite helpful because it's not just an online course. Also, you were saying about things like social workers. Actually, I do know practices that do have a therapist come in regularly, and that's something, we don't have a therapist, but all of our team sit down with management for a private chat every 6 weeks, every single one of them, and that's a confidential chat just to go, how are you? Are you okay? Do you want to just moan about it, vent? Nothing's written down, and we just then have a cup of tea and carry on. And that's actually changed their mental health massively because it just stops everything from building up and, blowing up.
For us, specific to where our discussion is today, and a little bit of an extra is we use a consultant on our benefits packages, so we have an idea of what our offerings are, and then you get help from those that are outside that say, no, you should switch it up and add to it, or here's what's happening in the market that you may not be aware of. These are individuals that normally come at no cost as well too, as they're commission based on what is provided through general health benefits, etc. We've used a consultant for our mentorship program and really understanding what the needs are that we may not be addressing, and that was a process we went over 18 months and did some beta tests and understood what wasn't working, and what was working with our mentees and mentors. And then on any given quarterly period, we have external consultants that will come in and work with our clinic managers and ourselves, again, around operational excellence in the clinic and what it means to, provide great culture, and what do difficult discussions look like, transparency, all these pieces that we weren't trained as veterinarians to tackle. And so there's external resources available. So it's a good place to go to, in my view.
Thank you. We've got one more question from online, and then please, if you have some questions for the panel, we'd love to have you come up and use the 2 mics up ahead. Last question for the panel. As dynamic leaders and people that empower the folks around you to really move an incredible practice forward, what do you do to unplug and recharge, to keep it exciting for you? And so what experiences do you have outside the clinic to really keep you excited about vet med and just the lives that you've chosen? And again, we'll start with David.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm pretty simple with that. I just like to get outside, play sports, do all of that, just kind of unwind and let off as much steam as you can by going on a hike or playing a hockey game, playing squash, just doing something physical. And I think it is important to remember that, you're looking after all these people, but it is really important to look after yourself as well. Set those boundaries and find that time to do what you really love too. So just a reminder to everyone. But yeah, for me, it's just being outside.
Trevor?
Yeah, I'm the same as Dave. I go on an adventure race with Dave. But yeah, sports, hiking, getting outside, and spending time with my kids, my family, my wife. It's really important. Yeah.
I see a theme of taking time off, which is good.
Yeah. And then I guess the other thing that I can add is that I like to do crazy vet stuff for fun. Like I got to go catch wild pigs from helicopter and do vasectomies. You don't do that for money because they don't pay very well, but it was super fun. And you just meet some crazy people that you'd never meet on a day-to-day basis. You have a story to tell for your life, for the rest of your life. And so I try to take advantage of opportunities like that, if you weren't a vet, you would not get those opportunities. So I think that's a cool part of our job. Yeah.
As a city vet, I can tell you that is not even in the top 10 list of fun things that I would consider doing. So good on you.
Yeah, right. For sure.
Megan?
This is an area I do. So traditionally, I would try to take 2 weeks off in about a month in the fall and 2 weeks off in winter. And it just got too busy and too crazy with breeding season, and doing that absolute insanity of, March 15th till when I take time off in August, it's 7 days a week, and they're big days. 2 weeks is not enough. So I have transitioned it, and last year was the first year where I said, okay, if I don't do this, I'm going to be a wreck. And if I'm a wreck, I can't actually keep going with my business. So whatever, we're just going to give it a go. Shut the doors completely, send everybody home, away we go. And I just had a no plan holiday and was a total gypsy. Never had a plan past 24 hours. You could call me on a Tuesday, say, where are you at? Oh, I'm sitting with some friends in Calgary. You call Wednesday. What are you doing? I'm in Kamloops. What are you doing? And just had a real gypsy holiday. And that really prolonged time off was fantastic. Came back totally refreshed. So this year it's going to be August 15th to September 15th and heading to Italy and Greece. And it's been amazing how many of my clients have been coming in saying, are you taking time off again? Where are you heading to? Do we need to know what times yet? And like the support that you receive is astronomical. It's mind blowing. And so after doing it last year, 100% recommend it. Going to do it every year. Don't know why I didn't do that before.
Good for you. Yeah, we will never replace an AI bot. I can tell you that for sure. All right, let's keep going.
All right, so for us, of course, like you guys, outside it's not while we vacation. Outside it's everyday thing. It's so important. Our kids, everyday thing. But for the rest, yes, we are taking vacation. We love to travel. She's running a whole lot. I'm dancing and playing hockey, which is really weird, but I really like it. But yeah, at the same time. But with the team, also what we like to do is when we do the Christmas parties, it's not like a Christmas party where everyone is sitting like that, eating their dinner and then drinking a little bit. It's a little different. We like to do team building while doing our Christmas party, let's say. So at one year we did a virtual game. We all have those helmets and we are all together fighting dinosaurs, or I don't know what we were doing. And we were having so much fun, and then the team talks about those kind of things afterwards. And at this Christmas at the restaurant we were all role playing mystery and murder. I don't know if we say that in English. Yes. Okay. So we were all playing, and we were all coming disguised. Everybody had a role. It was a murder at an airport, and it was really funny. And some of our staff went really outside their comfort zone. But these moments are really, really nice with the team. Just not just eating, just doing something more. That's it.
Yeah, a lot of the same things. There's two main things that kind of re-energize me. Is one, giving back to the veterinary community. So I'm part of 3 different boards, veterinary boards. And then secondly is my family. Just get a lot of enjoyment. I don't get to see them too much in the mornings. I'm off early in the morning, but I make sure I carve out time for the evenings and on the weekends as much as I can. And that just really re-energizes me, being with my 2 boys.
So I compete in agility with my dogs. And most importantly, no one in that agility community knows I am a vet. So I get to go and be with my friends, who are my friends. You can't ask me vet questions. And I think that's really important, actually, is to have a space where no one knows you're a vet, because unless they're really good friends, they will ask you, won't they? So, or put boundaries in place and go, you know what, I don't vet on my day off. No. Yes, I love to go travelling. I have a little toddler, so that's my time done. But otherwise, I would say turn your phone off. Turn it off, because I've got all the WhatsApp chats. They'll ring me, they'll text me, vet chat, nurse chat, reception chat, ortho chat. But yeah, if I go on holiday, I turn my phone off for the week.
Can I just make a comment on that?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry. So yeah, I respect that opinion that you want a club where you're not a vet there, you're just a regular Joe. But for me, it's been the opposite for my happiness. I like people to know that I'm a vet. I'm very proud of it. And I don't mind helping people because, like, for instance, a few Sundays ago, well, probably a month and a half ago, one of my good friends, dairy client, their kids have horses. Horse came acutely sore at a show. on a Sunday. I'm trying to landscape around my house. And I got there late. And because I was picking up my other dairy friend's bobcat that he was lending me for free so I could do my landscaping. And so I looked at their horse on a Sunday. I was late. I explained why I was late. Got their horse fixed up, went home, did my landscaping. The next day, that dairy farmer that I did that looked at their daughter's horse, dropped off their bobcat, full of fuel, greased up, and he said I could use it all summer long. So to me, that's that makes me really happy and makes me feel valued. And that's a very good thing for my mental health. So I just want to put that different perspective out there for everybody here. Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, I'm in the middle of the both of them. I was thinking about this as Trevor because I know Trevor well, and that definitely fits for his personality. Jim Rohn, he always speaks in the famous speaker. He talks about the 4 seasons of life: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And I feel I'm in the spring of life still. I have a 6- and 7-year-old who are, along with my wife, here at the conference, and we try and make the most of every opportunity to get out and travel, even if it is at a conference, taking those extra couple days and going and learning about the local environment. And if it's not associated with veterinary medicine, then it's world travel with the Snells, another gentleman on our panel here, going and searching the forests of Nicaragua, which we did last November together. So 5 kids, 4 adults, trying not to do a lot of bad things that we shouldn't in Nicaragua. And then, planning the next adventure, because in my last couple of years, there is no work-life balance, and that's all right. It's work-life together, and find that if I can set up for the next adventure, the next goal, etc., it's something to jump towards. It's something that you look forward to, and to me, that relieves the stress of the life that we're in, which is an amazing life.
All great answers. So we've got a few minutes left. I thought I'd open up the floor. Do we have any questions from the floor? Anything for our panelists that we haven't touched upon? Oh, I think we have somebody coming.
Hello. I really enjoyed all of your presentations, and all of your clinics are so unique and different. And obviously, having a strong, resilient workforce benefits the public because this gives them access to people to take care of their animals. I was wondering what your clinics have done to leverage your unique styles to help access to veterinary care.
So the question for those that maybe didn't hear is well, I should actually repeat the question because I think I understand it, which is, what about your practice style, your clinics have allowed for unique access to veterinary care? Does that sound about right?
I can speak briefly to this. For us, we empower our local practices normally through funds that have already existed prior to us partnering with them, and or setting up a different fund that makes sense for their particular area. For us, because majority of our practices are in rural, we don't so much get the option, meaning when an animal does come in and need care, we look after it, and that's first and foremost. Sometimes the economics don't need to be there, and we should be looking after it. That's our job. So again, it takes different forms. Our way of doing it is by empowering the teams.
Yeah, very similarly. So we stress quite a lot. So we try and charge properly for 99.9% of the time, so that if we do have those occasions where something comes and needs treating, that's fine, just treat it. We're very lucky. We work with a lot of charities, and they can be quite, not, I don't want to say lucrative, but there's lots of grants and schemes out there. Obviously, I don't know in Canada, but that there is access available to, and we'll try and direct clients to where they need to go so that they can get the money, get the support. The other thing we'll do as well is, because we do a lot of trainings, we have a lot of new grads and student nurses or vet students, that if something comes in and it needs doing, and it's perhaps a procedure or a surgery they've not done before, is we'll do it for cheap, because Greta's never done a leg amputation, or Goda's never done a C-section. So you know what, I'll do it for cheap as chips and class it as CPD, because then that way those guys get the experience they need, and you know what, for that one time, my costs are covered, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of we try and get to yes, and we try and figure out how we can make that work. And there's a lot of talk about providing high quality veterinary medicine, but I think it's more about tailored veterinary medicine. So the spectrum of care. I was talking to Jonathan earlier about this, but I think we can still provide quality medicine that's tailored to the client and to the patient's needs. And I think that's a way we can satisfy and leverage our team to provide services to our clients.
For us, we often, when we talk about clients' needs and everything, like we're trying to, we're not scared of changing our schedule, like the agenda, to make sure that we focus on what's important now for the client. So if there's more emergency needed, or if there's more vaccines demand, we'll try to move around things a little bit so that we can fit. We're a little like 1 or 2 weeks late usually, but often it helps to see more clients, so we can. And we are using a lot our technicians for the vaccine shots and everything, so that helps a lot to having more time for a veterinarian to do our vet stuff. Yeah, and do you think about something else? Yeah, and sometimes when we want to do more vaccines, what we'll do is when we have more technicians, we'll put them with 2 technicians with 1 vet, and then we'll schedule but almost like 20 minutes apart, and one coming a little earlier so that we can see much more vaccines that way if that's the need we feel. Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. Just before I close with a few remarks, I want to thank David, Trevor, Megan, Jonathan, Holly, Christian, Stephanie, and Judy for just all of your insights. It's incredible to see what you're doing every day. As I oftentimes say, it's simple, but it's not easy. And you live what you say, and you say what you do, and that is really a tribute to who you are. And to all those younger professionals out there, this is really inspirational. So this is what great leadership looks like. And on that note, all of you had a very clear mission, vision, your leadership styles, mentorship, and that all leads to great culture. I've been a veterinarian for close to 30 years now in many different aspects of practice and industry and all sorts of areas, both in Canada and south of the border. And I will say that working with the volunteers at the CVMA and what the CVMA does, so many of the issues that are facing us, whether it's provincially, in our cities, in our towns, or obviously federally, touches upon so much of the work that the CVMA does. And to all of the volunteers, thank you. But most importantly, those that haven't had a chance to get involved, this is what great work looks like. And if you have an opportunity to volunteer for any kind of association, but certainly the CVMA, there's lots of great work. And I would say to any younger veterinarian out there, your voice does matter. What you have to say does matter, and we need to hear from you. So to all of our panelists, thank you. And for all of you here today, thanks for being here and supporting the agenda.